Hello, everyone. Welcome to the In the Pocket podcast. I'm Max Sturm, Xander Cook, Logan Martin, all here together for the first time in what seems like forever. It's been a long time since we've been able to get together and organize something. But we got a good one for you today and a longer video to kind of make up for all that time missed, as we are going to do our mock draft ahead of the 2026 NFL draft coming up in just a few weeks, which is insane to think about how fast the time has flown by since the end of the Super Bowl up until this point. We've been planning this video for weeks. Logan has done so much work in terms of studying the players that are coming into this draft and watching film. And I think it's fair to say that where we think players are going to fall has changed so much over the last couple of months just because of their combine performances and trades being made and teams making moves in free agency and no longer having a need for a certain position. So things have changed up a lot, and I'm sure they will change more in the next few weeks, but we figure this is a great time to bring you this video. So we're going to start with the number one overall pick. Cue the draft music. It is the Oakland Raiders. Oakland, the Las Vegas. I can't even believe I just said that. It's been like what, 5 years since they've been Oakland.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Wow.
I think we all have the consensus pick right here, and it's Fernando Mendoza. I mean, you just take a look at what this guy was able to accomplish in his senior year. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. He was the national champion. He's such a strong pocket passer. He's deadly accurate. He was 72% throwing the ball in his final season. He's 6'5", 235 pounds, has the ability to take tough hits, can run down the field when needed. He's not necessarily the most mobile quarterback, but when you need the plays, he'll make them. Logan, I want to toss this one to you, assuming that you still have Mendoza. I think we all do, but for the average person who may not know why Mendoza is that number one overall pick at the quarterback position, why is Mendoza the better pick over a guy like Ty Simpson?
Yeah, he's the clear number one quarterback in this draft. And I think the Raiders, if they don't pick Mendoza, are making a huge mistake. And if they're not picking him, they better move back in the draft and add some more draft capital. But, Mendoza, in my opinion, is the closest prospect we have seen in a long time to Tom Brady. He has a great zip on the football. He can put it on his receiver. He's smart. He stays in the pocket. He's not quick to leave. Even if there is pressure in the pocket, he stands tall in the pocket, takes a hit, and can deliver a nice ball. We've seen it on the film. And one thing I love about Mendoza he's extremely prepared. And if you want to be an NFL quarterback, you better be very prepared. And that's what Fernando Mendoza did every single Saturday. He had great tape at California, had great tape at Indiana. Not a lot of flaws when you put on the tape and watch him. I remember watching him at California have that year. Late night games, watching some West Coast football. Fernando Mendoza could play even at California. He was a dude, and I think he's gonna make a splash for the Raiders organization. I bet Tom Brady is thrilled to work with him. And let me add this. You know how we kind of talked about Tom Brady maybe being a little salty about Drake May and his success in New England? Well, I wonder if Tom Brady will take it upon himself to make sure Fernando Mendoza is the better quarterback at the end of the day. So I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part. Best prospect since Brady. I mean,
Not
there's
most like him. Like if you
okay.
and when I do a comparison, this is the only comparison I'll give the whole draft. I don't do comparisons because it's hard to do a comparison. So that's why it's tough for me to be like he's like Brady. When I'm talking about Brady, I mean the mentality. He's easy to like. Everyone hated Tom Brady because he played for the Patriots. He leaves the Patriots and then all of a sudden everyone loves him. Like he's just that kind of person. He's competitive, plays with an edge. He loves football. That's what I see out of Tom Brady, and that's what you need if you want your quarterback for the franchise.
Xander, what's your take on Mendoza? Why should he be the consensus number one overall pick?
I'm actually gonna go with Makai Lemon with my number one overall pick. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was about to pause it.
Restart the recording, bro.
I do like Makai Lemon, but okay.
No, I'm going Mendoza. He's 6'5", 235. He's your prototypical size at quarterback. He's the Heisman winner, national champion at Indiana. He's a quick processor. He makes fast reads. He's accurate in the short and intermediate game, something that Tom Brady thrived at. And Mendoza, he's got a strong arms. I mean, he's not Josh Allen strong or Patrick Mahomes strong, but he still has a legit NFL arm. The Raiders went 3-14. They had one of the worst offenses in the league. Their QB room was a disaster. You know, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, none of those guys were any good at all. And now that you let go of Pete Carroll and hired Clint Kubiak, his system is perfect for Mendoza. It's under center, heavy run game, play action, timing throws. That's beautiful for Mendoza. That system makes life easier for young quarterbacks, and it maximizes Mendoza's strengths, which is decision making and his accuracy. The Raiders can't overthink this pick. QB is their biggest need, and he's the best one at that position.
Yeah, Xander, absolutely agree with you. And I love that you brought up Clint Kubiak. That was another thing that I had on my notes is that to be brought into a team that has the number one overall pick, so many of those teams have failed their number one quarter or their number one overall pick that's a quarterback over the years, and it's usually because there's a brand new head coach that comes in and is not very good. Now we have to see what happens with Clint Kubiak, but we know the kind of offensive play caller that he is and the way that he's able to adjust for the players that he has. And so I would love to see how he's going to kind of take Mendoza from being a guy who mastered the art of RPOs and used a lot of RPO in college and turn him into a guy who can run more play action, can throw the ball a little bit deeper down the field. I mean, we've seen him make deep throws, but those were like those shock plays that you had. And now at Indiana, and now in the NFL, he's got to translate to a new style of offense and a different type of offensive game that is so heavily used in the NFL with deeper, intermediate to deep passing. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think that that is one of his weaknesses is that he is so RPO heavy. I also think that he when the blitz comes, he is forced into bad throws sometimes, but those will be things that through time in the NFL with a great offensive line, hopefully that they'll be able to build over the next few years. He will be able to adjust. First year, we're not expecting him to make a Super Bowl run, but we'll get an idea of where he lies after the first year and kind of the direction and the potential that he has. All right, if nobody else has got anything on Fernando Mendoza, we will move on to our second overall pick. Logan, I'll let you kick this one off. Cue draft music.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Arvell Reese, edge, Ohio State. 6'4", 240 pounds. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 250 by now, just because he's converted from, an on-off ball linebacker to that edge position, approaching the draft. Only 20 years old, which makes him very valuable for any NFL franchise. That's a young prospect. And when you got tape like that, holy smokes, you got to go out of your way to get a guy like that. And, his athleticism is very rare for that position and to be that size and be that versatile, can play anywhere on the field. He has a nose for the football. His pursuit is aggressive and fast. Even as an edge rusher, people question if he's going to be able to do that at the NFL level because we saw a lot of off-ball linebacker play from Reese. But, put him on the edge, man, his bag's deep. He can run through you. He can go around you. He has great bend. We already talked about the athleticism, but he has the moves and the tools to play edge. And not only that, if I'm him, I'd want to play edge in the NFL too. That's where the money's at. That's where the need is in the NFL. You talk about the best defenders in the league, it's either corner or edge. So, I don't blame him, and he's gonna thrive as an edge rusher. And I don't think he'll just be an edge rusher. He could be a 3-4 linebacker. He can also play off ball. So, he's going to be a stud in the NFL. I got him at a 94 draft grade. To go back to Mendoza, I had him at a 93. So Arvell Reese with a 94 draft grade.
All right, I like that. I've got a different pick than you, but I'm going to let Xander take over first.
I got the same pick. I'm going Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. Like Logan mentioned, he's that linebacker edge hybrid. And for that size at 6'4", basically 250, 4.46 speed for that size is freaking insane, dude. He was an All-American, Big Ten linebacker of the year, won the Natty at Ohio State. Look, he's not just a linebacker. He's just a weapon in general. He can rush the passer. He can play off-ball linebacker. He can drop in coverage. He can move around pre-snap. He's got elite speed sideline to sideline. He's just a game wrecker, man. He's got that explosive first step that can throw the offensive line off their feet. He's got high football IQ, something that the Jets desperately need on their defense to establish some identity. And he's strong. He's tough as nails. He's got that violent play style like Logan mentioned. And Aaron Glenn's defense, it's aggressive and flexible. Reese fits that perfectly because he can can blitz from anywhere. He can disguise pressure. He can cover those tight ends, those running backs, and he just lets the defense stay unpredictable. He's that centerpiece of that entire system, and I think that's a home run pick for the New York Jets at number 2.
And I don't think they go wrong with that pick at all. I also have them taking an edge rusher, but I have it being Reuben Bain Jr. out of Miami. I think that uh, he is a defensive tackle with the agility of a defensive end. He has so much power to get through and bring pressure onto quarterback and really throw the offensive line off. And what I like about him being drafted by a team in the AFC East is you got two quarterbacks that get outside the pocket, and you need a guy who's a little bit smaller who can rush those quarterbacks and follow them out of this outside of the pocket. When you've got Josh Allen and you got Drake May on the other side, you got to try to force them to make bad decisions, to turn back around into the rest of the defensive line that's making a rush. So for that reason, and I think that the attributes that you guys said about Arvell there, I think that they also can apply to Bain as a pass rusher. He was just in the national championship game. He had 9.5 sacks on the season, 30 solo tackles, a forced fumble, and he was the 2025 ACC Defensive Player of the Year and was on the All ACC first team this year. So I think that he will go number 2 overall, and I don't think Arvo will be too far behind him. So that's a little teaser into my next pick.
Yeah, I'm going with who you got at number 2. I'm going with Reuben Bain Jr. out of Miami, the edge rusher. Man, Reuben Bain, to me, he is the top prospect in this draft. He is my number 1 prospect. I have him at a 96.5.
Okay. So before you go further, why, if he's your number 1 prospect and it's the same position, why are you throwing him below Arvo Reese? Why would the Jets not draft him?
Because I think Arvell Reese fits more into what the Jets want to do on defense. Aaron Glenn known for big guys up front. Reuben Bain could fit that mold. But if you're going to play for the New York Jets, if you look at that roster and how it's constructed right now, it's big guys up front. They got Jermaine Johnson. Having Arvell Reese, you can play on ball and off ball at linebackers. I just think Arvell Reese fits the Jets defense and the way it's constructed right now more than Reuben Bain Jr., if that makes sense. Reuben Bain Jr. for the Cardinals, they need anyone on that defensive line, inside or outside. And Reuben Bain Jr. just creates havoc. He bullies offensive linemen. He plays to the whistle. He's 100 miles an hour every single play. The production's there. You question the short arm length. He doesn't even use his arm length when he bullies these offensive linemen. It's like, he goes through the chest and gives them a little shoulder bump and gets to the quarterback. He has a deep bag. He's the best player in this draft to me.
Well, and what I love about his technique too is the hand batting that he does a lot.
Yes.
He's able to quickly get the arms of, yes,
tight
exactly.
to the body.
You can't see what Logan's doing, but he's hitting
tight to the body. It's tight to the body.
He's getting those arms of the offensive tackle out of the way right away, and that is what allows him to get into the backfield so quickly. Xander, are you with Logan on this one, or do you have somebody else?
I'm going Sonny Styles to the Arizona Cardinals. The 6'5", 240, former safety turned linebacker. This dude's a freak athlete. He's got 4.46 speed at that size. It's a rare size and speed combo, and his production after switching to linebacker, over 180 tackles, 7 sacks, almost 20 tackles for a loss. He's not your traditional linebacker. He's a hybrid. He can cover like a safety, blitz like an edge. He can stop the run downhill. He can just move all over the formation. And there's a couple players that I want to compare him to. One being Fred Warner for the 49ers and the other being Kyle Hamilton. Only because he has that kind of versatility with both of those guys. The Arizona Cardinals, that defense needs a centerpiece. They lack elite playmakers on defense. They need speed and versatility at that second level. And in the modern NFL today, linebackers have to cover and rush. And I think having Sonny Styles at that number 3 pick, that's your guy.
Yeah, quickly, my number 3 overall pick is Arvell Reese. I won't get too much into it just for the sake of time, but Logan, you mentioned that the Cardinals kind of just need anybody on defense on the defensive line. He provides that. He can play the edge. He can play linebacker. He can push through the gaps. They can line him up anywhere, and he'll be able to produce for them. So that's why I have the Cardinals taking him there. All right, the number 4 overall pick, and I'll start because I think this might be a shock to a few of you. I don't know if you guys, I honestly didn't even look too heavily into your draft, Xander. I just did a few picks differently to kind of start a little bit of debate. Logan, I don't even know what you've got. I got Jeremiah Love falling to the Titans here. I think that they are desperate for playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They want to give Cam Ward some help. This is a guy that can be helpful in the run game, so Cam Ward doesn't have to drop back at the end all the time and try and find a receiver. He can hand it off. He can pass to him in the screen. He can pass to him over the middle. Jeremiah Love is one of the best running back prospects that we have had in the draft since maybe Saquon Barkley. And I think that a team such as the Titans, who are trying to build an offensive scheme around a young quarterback in Cam Ward, would be silly not to draft him. It's a coin, it's a flip of a coin whether they should go offense or defense, right? Because they've got defensive problems as well. And where I where my point lies here is their defense started to make a turnaround at the end of last year and showed signs that they can be good. And so they just need to get a few pieces in there to make them better. But the offensive side of the ball, name a playmaker outside of who is a playmaker on the Titans. There really isn't one. I mean, you have Tony Pollard, but he's not going to be your guy. He's not going to be your running back. I feel as though they need to build a strong arsenal of weapons around Ward in order for him to improve. And Love's draft stock just skyrocketed. We talked about him falling maybe 7, 8, or 9. His draft stock skyrocketed after he ran the 4.36 at the combine. He's got extreme production, 2,500 yards and 35 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. The guy's just fast. You can't stop him. He's quick. He has the ability to stop and go on a dime. He's able to cut through defenders and make them miss. Strong ability to find the smallest gaps in the pass or in the rush, and he makes quick cuts. He's strong in the pass game at all 3 levels as well. And
I'm going Ruben Bain Jr. to the
okay.
Tennessee Titans. He's got 33 and a half career sacks, 9.5 sacks just this past season. What stands out to me with this guy is his violent hands, and he's got such a deep bag regarding his pass rush moves, which is so rare for a guy coming out of college. He's strong versus the run game, and he wins with leverage and technique. He's arguably the most complete edge in this draft class, but I have him falling to number 4. Same reason as Logan with Arvell Reese to the Jets. With the Titans, they already added pieces on that defensive line through free agency, but they still lack a true game-wrecking edge. Bain gives them the immediate starter. He's a day one pass rush production kind of guy, and he's a defensive identity piece. And what's also important here, he played with Cam Ward at Miami. So there's some built-in familiarity with Bain going to the Tennessee Titans. So if the Titans lean into a rotation-heavy defensive front, I think Ruben Bain Jr. is perfect for that because he can play those early downs. He can stay on the field for those pass rush downs, and he doesn't need to be schemed open. So I got Ruben Bain to the Tennessee Titans.
Logan, who you got?
Yeah, Max, I like what you had to say about Jeremiah Love because it was one or the other with who I had for the Titans. I went with Carnell Tate. I did originally have Jeremiah Love in the one I written up first, switched it to Carnell Tate, and here's why. You look at the depth chart, Calvin Ridley, they got a couple rookie receivers. They added Wan'Dale Robinson too. Like that's a good piece in the slot. Why not add a deep threat? And I take this into consideration. Who helps Cam Ward more? Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate? Both. Cam Ward is just such a good quarterback. You got to give him some weapons to throw to, in my opinion. Jeremiah Love can catch the football out of the backfield. I think you could agree to that too, Max, right?
Yeah, and I said when you were gone, I think that he can be a threat at all 3 levels, and I think you can line him up in the slot, and I think you can line him up out wide if you want to.
Right.
Um, Here would be my counter argument, and I think that Carnell Tate, they don't go wrong if they draft him either. He's the best wide receiver in the draft, in my opinion. You were talking about a deep threat for him. I think Wan'Dale is a pretty good deep threat. We saw that with the Giants last year. And not only that, but without a good running back that can sell the play action, how often is that going to work for them? I don't think Tony Pollard is the guy that can is going to rush well enough to sell a play action very often.
All right, I think he's serviceable. I also think you could attack the running back position in the late rounds. I just feel like Carnell Tate, if he's on the board, you got to go get him because Cam Ward. I think if you give Carnell Tate to the Titans, if the Titans get Carnell Tate, you're about to see the real Cam Ward next year. Because Wan'Dale Robinson, yeah, you're right. He's a good deep threat, but he's a slot receiver, so his route tree is completely different than what Carnell Tate would do. And Carnell Tate might not have blazing speed, but he catches every 50-50 ball, and he's over 6 foot. So like he has good frame. He's a good target. He's good in the red zone too.
Yeah. As we move on to our fifth overall pick, held by the New York Giants, and this is where I have Carnell Tate falling. Logan, I think we talked about it. He is the best wide receiver in the draft. He is a crazy deep threat, and just like Cam Ward, you're trying to find some weapons for your young quarterback. In this case, Jackson Dart. Now he already does have um, Malik Neighbors there in New York, but I think this provides a better deep threat for them, especially having lost Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that this would be a good selection for them. He is a consistent route runner who just is able to out leverage defenders all the way. He's very quick. He works back on most throws. So if a throw comes short, he's able to work quickly to get back to it. Which with a young quarterback, you're going to have some off target throws. He's got great hands. I think one of the only weaknesses about him is the fact that he is a smaller frame. There is cause for concern with injuries, but other than that, I think that this is the pick you go out and get if you are the New York Giants.
Absolutely. I got Carnell Tate to the Giants as well. The former five-star recruit, he had 1,400 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns last season. You know, he's an elite route runner, which he's already got NFL level route running ability. He's got strong hands. His contested catch ability is off the charts. His body control on the sidelines is off the charts. And he's smooth, not just fast when it comes to running routes. He fits any system, especially the Giant system, because he can win those short routes. He wins those intermediate routes with his timing ability. He wins those deep routes with his ball tracking. And I think swinging on Carnell Tate here is a culture-changing offensive pick. You pair him with Malik Neighbors, we're already talking top 10 wide receiver duos in the league. He's a kind of wide receiver who makes bad QBs look decent and makes good QBs look great. And if you want Jackson Dart to take it to the next level, you go out and get Carnell Tate and pair him with Malik Neighbors. We're talking a Giants team that was barely getting 20 points per game. Add Tate to the mix, you're looking at 25, 30-point games consistently.
Well, I'll tell you what, Xander, like, how do you even defend that duo if you're any team you're going against, but especially the NFC East? I mean, the Cowboys have nothing at cornerback. They're going to struggle just covering one of those guys. And now you're going to have two like you said, you're going to have a top 10 receiving duo in the league. And that division is going to have to prepare and draft and bring in free agents around the fact that you're going to have two number one wide receivers on the other side of the ball. So I think that's the obvious pick for the Giants. Like you said, I think this makes them a better team tenfold offensively. We'll have to see what they do defensively in this draft as well. Logan, I want to know, who do you think the Giants are going to take at number five?
Yeah, they're going with Sonny Styles. I got him at a 93 grade. You know, he's a former five-star safety who played linebacker, who actually played a year of safety at Ohio State, then played linebacker. And he uses his length to his advantage on tape. He's very, very patient, reads his keys very well. And it's like a mix of speed and power with him when he plays the run. You know, plays his gaps very strong, has an A+ stack and shed, squares up his blocker, sheds the block, you know, and then makes a tackle. He can be a high tackler sometimes, which could hurt him at the NFL level, but I think it's part of his 6'5", 250-pound frame. Could be hard to play low, but you know, if he improves his pad level, he's going to be one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. You know, this is a former Green Dot at Ohio State. We're talking about Ohio State defense full of first round picks, and he led that defense, called the shots. So, you know, he's, like I said, former safety, plays with great speed and technique. You know, Giants allowed 5.3 yards per rush as a defense, allowed just under 360 yards per game. Like, this defense was horrible. And you looked at the defense and you saw so many nice names. Yeah, they need secondary help. Could they go Caleb Downs? Yes, I could see that just as well. But Sonny Styles helps the pass defense as well. He's a former safety, like I said.
I think you're right. And that's a good pick for them too if they do not decide to go with a wide receiver um, to help Jackson Dart out as we move on to the number 6 overall pick held by the Cleveland Browns. And I think you guys are going to be a little bit shocked by this one. And even myself, I'm questioning whether or not I should have picked him for this team, but I'm going to stick with it. I have the Browns going with Miami tackle Francis Mauigoa. I think that there is a lot that you could say about the Browns needing a wide receiver threat for Shador or for Deshaun Watson, whoever they decide to play next year. And that's very true. And that's why I'm questioning myself because they could very easily just take Makai Lemon and have a number one wide receiver threat. However, I do like them drafting a offensive lineman because we have seen how bad that has been for them. It's a position of need for the Browns, and you're drafting the best tackle in the draft if you take Francis Mauigoa. I mean, he's got great experience at a competitive university that was just in the national championship game. He's a team captain, so he's a good leader. He's got a very broad frame. He's 6'5", 329 pounds, and he's got a strong pop coming off of the line of scrimmage. He's going to be able to clear that lane for Quinshawn Judkins or able to pop a defensive end and give Shador or Deshaun Watson the time he needs. He also is able to move quickly and move the pocket for his quarterback. So that's why I like them taking him. I think they need to start building that offensive line, and what better way to do it than picking the best tackle in the draft?
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns, I think it's clear they need a left tackle or a wide receiver in this position. They just signed Titus Howard from former Texans offensive lineman, right tackle, which will help the offensive line, but it still doesn't fix the problem. Now they have a left tackle gap and they have a wide receiver gap. And top receiver, he's gone, Carnell Tate. So I got an even more surprising pick right here for you. Trading up to the number 6 spot is the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, hear me out. The
Whoa!
Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals trade picks number 10, picks number 41, a 2027 third round pick, and T. Higgins for the rights to pick number 6 and pick number 24 from the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals trade up, grab David Bailey, fix the defensive line issue, add their edge rusher of the future. They struck out with Shamar Stewart, former Texas A&M edge rusher who had 1 sack in his college career as a senior, and swung and missed. You got to go up, trade up. They get David Bailey to pair up with Jonathan Allen, BJ Hill, and then this changes the whole identity of the defense. David Bailey he's gonna be a stud on the Cincinnati Bengals.
If that happens, what a fleece for Cleveland. What a
Yeah,
fleece.
Well,
absolutely.
I did the trade in a bunch of trade simulators, and it was a 51 to 49 trade on most of the simulators I did. Because think about it, the the Browns, I mean the Bengals trade up to get David Bailey. The Browns don't need David Bailey. A bunch of teams, a lot of teams could use David Bailey, so they got to give up quite a bit.
You give the Browns a receiver and some draft capital, but I'm going to have to disagree because there's a receiver on the board that can arguably be the best receiver out of this draft class. And I have the Cleveland Browns drafting Makai Lemon out of USC. He's a top 10, 15 prospect in this class, a top 2 to 3 receiver in this class, arguably could be number 1. He's been linked to teams like the Dolphins since they traded Jalen Waddle. He's been linked to the Saints and some other teams in round 1. But there's legit traction that the Browns could take him with one of their first round picks. He's the Bolitnikoff winner and an All-American. He's got 2,000 plus receiving yards in his college career, 137 catches, 14 touchdowns. This kid is ridiculous. He's one of the most polished receivers in the entire draft class. Makai Lemon, he's a guy with elite route running ability. He can create separation consistently. His hands, insane. He's got such strong hands when you throw it up in one-on-one coverage. And he's got such high football IQ. He's a guy that wins with precision, timing, awareness versus zone, you name it. And let's be real about the Cleveland Browns. The Jerry Jeudy experiment has been a failure. He's okay, not a true wide receiver one. There's no consistent chain mover on that offense. The offense just lacks reliability on that receiving core. Lemon gives them a true volume receiver, a QB friendly target, someone who could just get open on third down. Um, I think it's huge if they're developing Shador Sanders into being their starter and not Deshaun Watson. Lemon, he can live in the slot early. He could be the primary read on key downs like third and fourth down, and he can eventually become the offensive engine. So I like that pick.
Yeah, I like Lemon too a lot, and I have Tate at 91.5 grade. I got Lemon at a 90, so not that far behind. I just think 6 is a little early for a slot receiver.
I mean, Logan, I'm still shocked by the haul you see the Cincinnati Bengals giving up to go and get David Bailey. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I do. Would they even be willing to give up T. Higgins? Is there even a shot in the world they'd be willing to do that? That's where I'm kind of questioning it. Now, would it be smart? Absolutely. I think that they've got too much money tied up between
That's why.
they got too much money tied up between Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow right now. And you're absolutely right. They have a massive problem
Right.
on the defensive side of the ball, especially that defensive line and at the edge. They just lost Trey Hendrickson to the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't hate the trade. I just don't know if the Bengals ownership and GM and the organization
Right.
as a whole are smart enough to do it. We'll move on to the seventh overall pick held by the Washington Commanders. And that's where I have them taking Makai Lemon. Xander, you touched on it. He is one of, if not the best wide receivers in the draft. I think that Carnell Tate holds that spot, but he's right there. He has elite route running, and his technique is fantastic. I mean, among the scouts, he's considered probably the most polished route runner of the class. He has crazy yard after catch ability. He's not just a guy that's going to go up and pull down the 50-50 ball. He'll take off and run with it after too and get you some valuable yards. He's got great hands, Xander. You mentioned it, probably one of the some of the best hands in this class as well. And he's versatile. He can play in the slot. He can play out wide. He can play zone against a zone heavy defense. He can work well in RPO system. And he's got a very high IQ. Again, there's not a lot of knocks on this guy. My one knock with him is that he's a wide receiver under 6 foot in a league where the 6 foot plus wide receivers are the guys that are making the big plays and that are the reliable pass catchers. So, Xander, I ask you then, since you got Makai Lemon as the pick before, who do you have the Commanders taking?
I got them taking Jeremiah Love with their number 7 overall pick. The running back out of Notre Dame, elite production, 1,300 plus rushing yards, 18 touchdowns, and that speed is ridiculous. 4.3640 is crazy. From a scouting point of view, this guy is the top non-quarterback in the draft by a lot of evaluators. What he does best, he's got that explosive home run speed, like I already mentioned. He's elite in space. He can line up as a receiver, and when you run him to the outside, that's when he becomes dangerous. And they already have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Now imagine pairing Jaden Daniels with Jeremiah Love. That creates read option nightmares, play action explosiveness, and just constant stress on defenses. This is arguably one of the best fits in the entire draft for me. I think Love fits the system because he thrives in space. He's perfect for spread and RPO. He adds receiving ability, and that is perfect for the modern
Thank you.
NFL offense. And he just matches Jaden Daniels' play style perfectly.
Logan, who do you have being picked at number seven?
Yeah, I really like the pick, Max, in terms of the Lemon. Again, I couldn't pick him a slot receiver that high at 7. I debated the Washington Commanders trading back maybe to get Lemon later, but I had him going with Mansour Delane out of LSU, the cornerback, in my opinion, the best corner in the draft. I have him at a 92 grade. This guy's film is pretty nice to watch. Let me pull it up real quick. So he's a really good boundary corner. He's a true corner and doesn't usually line up in the slot. Defends the boundary very well, very smart, plays with a great instinct, great jump on the ball, whether it's vertical or just jumping out to react on the ball or making a tackle, whatever it is. This guy is physical. He can make plays on the football. just a playmaker. And I think he, again, best corner in the draft. He allowed a 31.3 passer rating when targeted by opposing quarterbacks. He only allowed 14 receptions in coverage in 10 games. And he also had 34 solo tackles in run support and open field tackles. So, you know, if you look at the Washington Commanders, what they struggle with, well, they allowed 11.8 yards per completion last year. So, I think Sainristil, the young cornerback from Michigan, is a very nice cornerback, but get him another rookie corner. Pair those guys up, and I think the defense pass game changes with those two young bucks playing at corner.
And I like it. I like them taking a corner as well. The Commanders are a team with several needs, and corner and really the defensive backfield as a whole is one of those needs. We go on to the number 8 overall pick. It's the New Orleans Saints, and for me, I have them taking Ohio State linebacker slash defensive end Sonny Styles. I think that this is a good pick for them because you could go out and get Tyler Shuck some help on the offensive side. You don't know about Chris Olave. They're saying they're going to keep him. I'm not sure whether that will continue to be the case post June 1st. Maybe if that's the case, you go out and get a wide receiver. But right now, Olave seems like a good option for them at wide receiver. And I think that defense is a huge part of this team's problem. And if you go out and you get a guy who can play linebacker and defensive end, a guy who possesses elite physical traits, scouts are calling him a cyborg with the 80-inch wingspan, really good speed for a linebacker. He has incredible range. He's versatile and he's versatile in coverage as well. He's a former safety, like you guys had mentioned, with natural instincts in coverage against tight ends and also running backs. So I think that a guy that can uh, be played just about anywhere. Like even if you wanted to throw him back into coverage, I don't know if that's something that you do having him play at safety at all, but you have him at linebacker, you have him rushing the quarterback. You can't go wrong with picking him. He provides so much for a New Orleans defense that desperately needs it.
For the New Orleans Saints, I think with their 8 pick, it's a shoe-in for me. It's a receiver. The Saints have to go receiver here with their number 8 overall pick, and I got them going with Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. He creates separation with route running. He wins in the red zone. He can line up on the inside or on the outside. He's a QB-friendly receiver, which is huge for Tyler Shuck in that developing offense. The Saints' offense has been inconsistent since Drew Brees retired, but now they finally found a quarterback, hopefully, in Tyler Shuck. The Saints still need a true playmaker and a reliable target out opposite of Chris Olave. So Tyson, he gives the Saints a potential wide receiver too. He's someone who can move the chains, score in the red zone, open up the entire offense. And under Kellen Moore, the offense leans with timing routes, spacing concepts, and just getting wide receivers open quickly. And I think Jordan Tyson fits that because he can separate early and he's a great route runner and he doesn't need perfect quarterbacks to play to win. The big concern with Jordan Tyson at that 8 pick for me is injuries, and that's why he's not locked as the wide receiver 1 in this draft. He tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL. He fractured his clavicle. He's got hamstring issues, and in college he missed 33% of those games. But if he doesn't get injured, this dude is explosive, and I think he helps that Saints offense tremendously.
Max, I really like that pick with Sonny Styles. They need linebackers. But they also need a target for Tyler Shuck to throw to. So I got them going with Jordan Tyson, just like Xander has. Um, Very athletic. He has like an elastic type movement. He can bend in his body control midair, whatever it is, towards the sideline. It's unbelievable. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith, and I think that's why Kellen Moore wants to go out and grab him. When Kellen Moore was in Philly, similar size, build, skinny, long, plays tough. Makes plays in air towards the sideline, great hands, good route running. And Jordan Tyson was that dude at Arizona State. So I got them going with Jordan Tyson at number 8. And this should tell you how much I put into this draft, man. Because I have Mekhi Lemon rated at a 90. I have Jordan Tyson rated at an 87.5. And if you want to factor in injuries, he's probably like an 86.5. So the fact that I have him going a little bit higher than Mekhi Lemon was tough for me to do, but I think he fits the New Orleans Saints and what they want to do offensively.
I like it. I like that. I think I agree with you too that it's a steal if they're able to come away with Sonny Styles, but I don't disagree with you guys thinking that they should take a wide receiver at this pick either, considering that they're trying to develop Tyler Shuck. We go on to the number 9 pick in this draft, which it's so weird that they are this far up in the draft this year, but things did not go the way the Kansas City Chiefs would have wanted this year. And I have them taking David Bailey here. Now, I want to know just from you guys, because a lot of people might say they don't need an edge rusher, but if you look at the edge rushers that they have right now in Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, what do you think is the biggest problem with the two of them right now? What do they lack?
Right now, they lack a cornerback, but
Sorry, I mean
I
like
know
what does the defensive pass rush lack for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Constant pressure.
Yeah,
speed.
explosiveness.
Yeah.
That's what they need. George Karlaftis and Chris Jones both getting up there in age. Karlaftis, I think, has become the talk of some overrated uh, debates, especially amongst Chiefs fans that I have been having conversations with. They think he's getting paid too much, and I don't necessarily disagree with that with his lack of production. I think that they need to go out and they need to get David Bailey to bring some power to that pass rush. I mean, he's got elite speed for a defensive end. He has a 450 40-yard dash. That's insane. And a 20% pressure rate. It was just the best in the entire nation last year. And you just look at him and the stats that he had. He had 14 and a half sacks last year. Absolutely insane. You're talking about a defense that for 5 weeks, I think maybe even longer, maybe a little bit shorter, who knows, is going to be without Patrick Mahomes on the other side. And you've got to get that defense off the field and put that offense back on. What better way to do that than a guy that consistently gets to the quarterback? So for me, you're going to take him with that pick.
I had a
I'm
hard
right there.
time getting him. Oh, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm right there with you, Max. I got David Bailey as well because the Chiefs are heavily
Really?
targeting. Yeah, they're
You have him falling to number 9, though?
I
I had a
think
hard time taking him out of my top 5, and I had him at 6. Like, that
I'm
was
going David Bailey dropping
wow.
to 9, falling in the Kansas City Chiefs lap. It is a gem of a pick at that number 9 pick. The Chiefs are heavily targeting an edge rusher, and David Bailey is a top edge rusher in this draft class. They need pass rush help badly. This dude's 6'4", 250, runs a 4.540, unanimous All-American, a sack leader. He's got that explosive first step. He's a guy that just bends the edge really well. And like Max mentioned, just creates constant pressure. And one thing that I noticed watching his highlights is that he gives high effort every single snap. And that's something I love out of an edge rusher. Bailey gives the Chiefs a true pass rush threat. With Chris Jones on the inside, this dude could rack up sacks and become a legit problem.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to me, like, I see what you guys are saying. I just feel like they might have to trade up for that because my scenario is like the Bengals say, oh, shoot, like Titans didn't take him at 4. Giants definitely aren't taking him. We have time to trade up and find something that makes something to work. And we trade up and grab David Bailey at 6, expect him to go top 4, you know? So for him to go 9, it's a good fit for Kansas City, but you don't think they might need to trade up for that?
Here's the thing, Logan. You haven't said that Jeremiah Love's going to be drafted yet, correct? Did you?
Correct.
Yeah.
But the edge
We
and the
had
running
him
back
getting
is,
picked way earlier, and then we also threw Makai Lemon in there as well. So
I
that's why he
say,
would fall back. And
Delane.
we
You don't
had
see
Francis.
Delane?
I had Francis Mauigoa as well. So that's why
Yeah.
in my draft he falls down to the number 9
Okay.
spot. And I agree with you. He is one of the premier players in this draft. But only a few of these teams, I think their number 1 overall pick right now is
Yeah.
going to be an edge rusher or a linebacker.
Okay.
I think that he will fall to the Chiefs. I hate it because I want to see the Chiefs crash and burn for as many years as possible. But I think that this is just going to be a pick. If my draft is correct, that's going to fall right into their laps, and it's going to transcend this Steve Spagnuolo defense and bring a new identity to it that is explosiveness.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I see that. If he slips that fall, you got to take him, right? You got
Right.
to.
Absolutely.
Um, just looking at the defense, I originally had him taking Delane out of LSU at corner, but because the Commanders took him, this is one of the first switches I made to my mock draft, kind of like my 1.0, 2.0. But because Delane's already picked, the Chiefs. Go look at that depth chart at corner. That is thin, man. It is a thin at depth right there for Kansas City. So I just, you know, with Delane already picked, I had him going Maui Goa. The right tackle out of Miami. Some people have him early. Some people have him right around this range, but Kansas City, they finally got rid of Taylor. I was tired of watching him false start every single snap and not get called, and all those penalties and all of him lining up deep in the backfield. And it's finally over in Kansas City because Malago is going to save you, and it's going to add to the pass block and pass protection for Mahomes. You won't see him scrambling around as much, and you also see Kenneth Walker get much needed protection when he wants to run the football.
I like that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. We move on to the 10th overall pick, held by, in me and Xander's draft, the Cincinnati Bengals. And uh, I do think that defensive end and defensive line are one of the biggest needs for them. But with Caleb Downs still on the board, I have them taking Caleb Downs. He is a consensus top 10 pick, and I do not think he will fall outside of that. He has chess piece versatility. You can play him up, you can play him down. It don't matter. He can play in the slot, he can play safety. I mean, you could throw him at safety, you could throw him at corner, it doesn't really matter. He's got a high IQ. He's very good tackling, and especially in the open field as well. He's just so quick to get to a rusher or a wide receiver that's caught a ball. He's got great ball skills and range. He's had 6 interceptions and 12 pass deflections over 3 seasons with Ohio State, and I think that he's a good fit for the Bengals because it's an immediate solution to another weak position on that defense. I think you could plug and play any position drafting for the Bengals and you do well on the defensive side of the ball. But I think this you go out and you're getting one of the best players at this position. And a lot of draft experts and scouts are saying that this is the easiest 2 foot putt for the Bengals if he's able to fall to number 10. Just taking him, he's a vocal leader and he's got that Ohio connection. So maybe they love that a little bit and want to take him. So I got Caleb Downs falling to number 10, and that's where the Cincinnati Bengals take him.
Yeah, I also have Caleb Downs dropping to number 10 to Cincinnati. He's got elite traits, man. His instincts are top notch. We can rave about his tackling ability and versatility. He can play safety. He can play corner. He can play slot. I love watching Caleb Downs play. He's a guy that can play deep safety, drop into the slot, cover those tight ends, blitz. He can stop the run. And the Cincinnati Bengals defense has had a major problem throughout these years, and that's the secondary. The secondary has lacked consistency. They've lacked playmaking. They've lacked leadership. And Downs is a guy that can be that vocal leader on that defense. He just gives them a true defensive anchor, and he's someone who can elevate everyone around him.
Yeah, and I think that this is a pick that would allow the Cincinnati Bengals to feel more comfortable running man coverage more often. He's fantastic as a safety, and he's not going to allow much leverage to wide receivers. And the other part about him is he sticks to pass catchers like glue. He has the quick ability to move laterally and stay with receivers, even on their breaks. So that's why I think they go out and get him. You got some good wide receivers in that division that you've got to try and lock down, and a lot of deep threats as well. So I think you go ahead and you take one of the best safeties in this draft right there, even though you don't necessarily have that as your number one position of need. It's kind of just best available defensive player at that point. Logan, who do you got with you
The
got the
Browns.
Browns at 10 now?
Yep.
Yes.
I got the Browns at 10. The Browns just traded number 6 because they don't want to draft a left tackle that high. Carnell Tate was picked. They get back to number 10. Now is when you fill in that hole. You got T. Higgins now in the wide receiver room. You have the opportunity to add the piece missing at offensive line, left tackle Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Too early to take him at 6. I see a lot of mock drafts having him at 6. I think it's too early. I have him at an 84.5 grade. So looking at all my grades, that's by far my lowest grade in the top 10. But there's upside when you're talking about him. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. Can get, he can get physical in the pass game, and He needs to improve in the run game, but there are flashes. His legs and base are not the best. He can get narrow with his feet at times. But if he can develop good technique, good footwork, better base, a better anchor at the left tackle position with his size, he's going to be a stud. And I wouldn't be opposed to them going with Caden Proctor, the left tackle out of Alabama, with this pick either. But I got him going with Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, left tackle, number 10. Filling in that spot, that defense taken care of.
I like that. And so why would if they are desperate for a tackle, is the only reason you had them trading because it would have been for T. Higgins, so you solve two problems?
No, I'm
Because
thinking both. I'm thinking of both, and I know exactly what you're trying to ask. And you're wondering why Monroe Freeling, the left tackle, when you could stay at 6 and get other tackles.
when you
Well,
could have got
yeah.
Francis Mauigoa.
Well, Maui Go is a right tackle, and if he's not a right tackle, you're thinking about moving him into guard. You go to Fano. In my opinion, he has a very good tape, but he's too small and didn't face good enough competition for me to think of him as a right tackle or a left tackle. He's a right tackle, but he can play both. He played more left tackle as a sophomore, more right tackle as a junior, but I don't see him playing left tackle in the NFL. Then Caleb Lomu, I just have Reeling and Proctor better graded wise. So yeah, I see what you're saying, man. I think it just the puzzle pieces they fit together for both teams.
Yeah,
It's a
and
win-win.
last question, just to keep it short, do you not think that Mauigoa could transition into a left tackle?
I think he could, but I also think the right and left side are just completely different, man. It's
It's
basically
hard.
it's the opposite. Obviously you probably keep the same technique, but it's like learning your left hand, and your right hand, kind of, I guess. But again, I'm not an offensive tackle, so I can't speak for him. Do I think he could go to left tackle? Hell yeah. But a lot of what I'm hearing is if he's not a right tackle, he's going to guard.
All right.
Or he's a serviceable backup left tackle, which I don't think you would draft Maligo to be able to back up left tackle
Right.
because he'd have to learn the position. But yeah.
No, I don't hate it. I was just curious with
No,
the
I think it's a
trade.
great question.
Um,
It's a great question.
with that, we'll move on to the number 11 overall pick, held by the Miami Dolphins. And to me, with him still on the board, it's no question that they're going to go out and go for Jordan Tyson. You absolutely have to take a wide receiver, in my opinion, if you're the Miami Dolphins. You just traded away Jalen Waddle to the Denver Broncos, and your best guy is who do they even have as wide receivers right now? They got Parker Washington. Is that who it is?
I think Parker Washington's on
He's
the
a
Jacksonville
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
he's a
Jaguars.
stud on the Jaguars. They should have never traded his ass. They got Jane Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, Malik Washington. That's who you think of.
Yes, that's who I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. Okay, so like there's my point exactly. I could not name a valuable wide receiver on the Miami Dolphins right now. You've got to go out and get him. And we talked about or you guys were talking about Jordan Tyson and what he's able to bring to the table. Masterful route running. He's widely considered one of the best runners in the class, and that's a lot due to his ability to make quick cuts and free up space just with little jitters on his route, he's able to get free. He's got like above the rim ability. Despite his lean frame, he displays excellent body control and late hands and is able to win those contested 50-50 balls. And I think he's one of the most pro-ready players in this draft as well, coming out of Arizona State. Now, the only problem with him is his injury history. I think that is a massive concern for anybody who's going to draft him. And him being a number one wide receiver, he's going to see a lot of physical defensive play against him. And that you lose him, then what do you have? You're back down to where you started. But with the trade of Jalen Waddle, this is the pick that makes sense to me.
With my 11th pick, with Carnell Tate gone, Makai Lemon gone, Jordan Tyson gone, I don't think the Dolphins take receiver here. It's too early to take Cooper. It's too early to take Boston. So I think they take the best guy available, who is a top corner in this draft class, the unanimous All-American out of LSU, Mansour Delane. He's just great in man and zone coverage. He's a strong tackler. He's quick enough to shadow slot receivers. Delane gives Miami a playmaker in the secondary, and he's versatile for those multiple schemes. You know, the Dolphins run multiple fronts, single high, two high, and some sub packages. Delane thrives in those systems, and he can be that lockdown corner that they need to cover guys like DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson twice a year.
Yeah, if Delane's not picked up early, they got to go with Delane, especially with Jeff Hafley coming over with the defensive background. We saw what he did with Green Bay with not many crazy names in that in the secondary and just what he was able to do defensively. But I have him going with the defensive back position as well. Like I'm going Caleb Downs, and I have him at a 95 grade. My second highest graded player, falling all the way down to number 11. So that just proves not every mock draft's perfect because mine's probably going to be wrong. Caleb Downs probably won't slip to 11. But I really like what you had to say. The Dolphins, they too need a wide receiver. But Caleb Downs, he doesn't play at 5'11" at all, man. He flies around, makes plays. He's incredibly smart. We've heard Patricia rave about this kid, about his IQ, his football instincts, always being in the right place at the right time, fast downhill pursuit. One of the best tacklers, probably the best tackler in the draft as at a defensive back position. The only reason I have him slipping to 11 is because you look at all these roster spots. You go look at their free safety position because that's the mostly what you see Caleb Downs play. You can see him play a little strong safety if he gets in the box, but mostly in the slot, mostly single high free safety position. Um, if he goes, what do you got? Who'd you guys have him? You had him going to the
Cincy.
Bengals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they just got Brian Cook from the Chiefs. That's the only reason I couldn't have him going there.
Absolutely. To me, he's a consensus top 10 pick, and I would not be surprised to see him drafted further ahead than 10 or 11. And who knows, some team who's desperate for a safety might go up and trade for him, but that's to be determined. We move on to the next pick in this draft, which is the Dallas Cowboys at number 10, and that's where I have Mansour Delane falling. I think that you covered all the basics on why he's a great player. Now I think that he's got to go to a team that can really take advantage of his talents, and a team that really needs him, and that would be the Dallas Cowboys. Um, their secondary is cooked. I mean, we saw last year just how bad it was. They gave up what 430 yards to Russell Wilson. Was that what it was? Something like that in that Giants game. Unreal. That speaks for itself. You no longer have Trayvon Diggs, who I don't think was that great anyway outside of his 11 interception season, but he's not there anymore. Deron Bland is still dealing with his injury. And when he comes back, is he really a high valued corner outside of his interceptions that he had a few years back? Is he an overrated player? We don't know. Um, I just think this is you got to go and fix that secondary if you're the Cowboys, and this is where you do it with, like you said, a unanimous All-American.
Yeah, I'm going with Jeremiah Love, and this is the first pick that just doesn't really make sense, and it's a head scratcher, but it's the true just take best available pick. And Jeremiah Love slipped all the way back, you take him. And I again, just like Caleb Downs, you don't see him slipping all the way back to 12, but again, the running back position, I still don't think it's valued the same. And we've seen Jeremiah Love. Remember the year before last? He had some injury concerns. I think that could be what holds teams off, especially at the running back position with how replaceable they are nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So with the Dallas Cowboys, like Max mentioned, they need secondary help. There's Deron Bland injury issues, letting go Trayvon Diggs. They got torched all season long. They were ranked what 30th in pass protect or not pass protection, but for their secondary against the pass. They're
Yep,
giving up how many yards a game? 350. Yeah,
something like that.
that secondary is atrocious. And McCoy, he's an outside corner with cornerback one flashes. I know that he tore his ACL, so there is a little bit of injury concern there. But his hips and feet are smooth, man. He's got that quick lateral transition, and he's efficient as a corner and more focused. He's got that physical pass disruption that could just make each rep easier as time goes on. He's an opportunistic kind of corner, and his route squeeze and zone awareness is going to improve with more reps there in Dallas. So I like Jermod McCoy to the Dallas Cowboys.
I think that's a great pick considering if Mansour Delane is not there, that's who you go and you get if you're the Dallas Cowboys. It's got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be something in the secondary. Logan, I think that you have.
I got
Oh,
the
right,
Rams
you
at
get yeah.
13. Yeah, I got the Rams at 13 taking Jamal McCoy, the same cornerback out of Tennessee. I got him at an 88 grade. And I think if he played last year, he's probably in the 90s. This guy, his tape was pretty solid when he was healthy. He's sticky in man. He's sneaky in zone, can read the quarterback well, very athletic, elastic again, type movements, very athletic, good bend. Again, yeah, he tore his ACL, transferred from Oregon State. Again, this guy, the only reason we're not talking about him as much is because of the injuries. So, take the injury away. It's a safe pick. You already got McDuffie over there. You have a defensive back problem. I've been talking about it all year. I think a lot of it's due to the size. So I think going out and getting McDuffie was a little questionable. Yeah, he's a stud, but he's only 5'11". So getting McCoy, 6'1", 190 pounds, the real type of corner you see nowadays. That's a safe pick right there. Even at 13, even if it's a little early for Jamal McCoy, you still got to address that problem because they're a Super Bowl team. You might as well solve the problem as much as you can.
Well, they've got another problem that I think they need to address as well, and I think that that's a open position at the right tackle spot. And so for me, I have them taking Spencer Fano out of
Mm.
Utah. I think that Fano is one of the more underrated players in this draft because of who's above him, not necessarily just at tackle, but also at all the other positions. He's going to fall down a little bit. He had 12 starts in 2025, and he allowed 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, and only 5 total pressures. That is insanity from a right tackle. He also is very versatile. In his 35 career starts with Utah, he played 11 of them at left tackle and 24 at right. So you could interchange him given some uh, injury issues to one tackle position or the other. And why he fits the Rams is you have who was it that just retired? Rob
Havenstein,
Hoppenstein. Yeah,
Havenstein, yeah, I have to
yeah,
say it.
he just retired, leaving that tackle position open. He provides a high floor starter to protect the future of this organization, whether that's going to be Matt Stafford for another few years or whoever follows after Matt Stafford at the quarterback position there. I think he also fits Sean McVay's offensive scheme very well with zone run concepts, and he's got I just think he's extremely versatile and would be a great starter and a great immediate replacement, immediate hole filled for the Rams after the retirement of Hardenstein.
I like it. I'm going Francis Mauigoa to the Rams. They're looking to protect Matt Stafford and improve their run game, and Mauigoa fits that mold perfectly. He's got quick feet and pass protection, and he's excellent in run blocking. He wins with technique, and he can handle those speed rushers off of the edge. I think Mauigoa gives them a boost in a cleaner pocket and run blocking efficiency.
All right, well,
Yeah,
with
let's go. I got him too at 14. Go.
yeah, with my number
Same.
14 overall pick. Okay, so we all have it the same here.
Just say that we all got him there, and we'll.
We've all got the same pick at number 14 to the Baltimore Ravens. It's Vega Lil Wayne, whatever. I
Lil Wayne.
All the
I don't
way go
know.
away, Nate. Oh,
He is
I don't
out
even
of Penn
know.
State,
Next.
um, and, and he's a guard. Um, I think Baltimore just has a glaring hole at the guard position, and they need to be able to plug and play somebody in to protect Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. We saw Lamar Jackson last year with the injury not be as productive, one, because he couldn't run as much, but two, when he had to stay in the pocket after his injury, the pressure just kept coming and coming and coming from one side or the other. And so to go out and get a guard that can protect that interior and double as a guy who can open the hole, open the gap for Derrick Henry is extremely valuable. He is a brick wall in terms of pass protection as well. And I think he'd just be a great anchor for this offense.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, he's a great pass blocker. I got him an 89 grade. I'll keep it short. 89 grade, great pass blocker. Can improve as a run blocker, but that will come. They need him to, so Derrick Henry can run between the tackles, just like the old days. But yeah, number 15, the Buccaneers. Who you got, Max?
I've got them taking I got them taking CJ Allen.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
I have them taking CJ Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia. He's a great run stopper, and I think that that was a part of the issue for the uh, for the Buccaneers last year was they had a problem stopping the run. So you want somebody from the linebacker position that can go in and hold or block that hole, block the rush. I think he's got great leadership. He's an efficient blitzer as well. He recorded 3.5 sacks last year, 12 total pressures. Very good in the A and B gaps, and his tackling is elite. It's textbook tackling. So I think that it's kind of a shock pick, but I wanted to change things up a little bit. I think that with Levante David retiring as well, that's a hole that they need to fill.
With my
Yeah, Todd.
15 pick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say Todd Bowles might get fired after the draft before the season even starts if he go ahead and draft it. No, just playing.
I
I,
love that.
I mean, linebacker is another position that is not valued the same. And I think my personal opinion, if you don't take Sonny Styles at the inside linebacker position, I have a hard time taking anyone other than Jacob Rodriguez, um, the linebacker from Texas Tech.
That's your pick?
No. Sorry. No, I was just saying, like
Oh.
linebacker wise, like I just think Jacob Rodriguez was one of the best. He was the Heisman runner up, and people have him as a fourth rated linebacker. So I don't
That's
know.
freaking crazy. I know.
Anyway, I got Akeem Mesidor, the edge rusher from Miami, going to the Buccaneers. Linebacker or edge, name it, needs to be addressed for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So at the end of the day, I don't blame you, Max. The problem is there's not many. It's not really deep at the linebacker position in this draft. That's the one unfortunate spot. So if you draft a linebacker at 15, no matter who you take, it'll be a little bit of a shocker. But yeah, I just have him going edge. He's turned 25 right before the draft, so he's near his ceiling. But you take 2 or 3 years off of his age, this guy's a top five pick. 63 tackles, 12 and a half sacks, four forced fumbles in 2025. He's got 34 and a half career sacks in college. He can line up over the tackle, over the guard. He can, this guy lined up everywhere for Miami. Shout out Corey Heatherman, defensive coordinator. But had those boys booming like Bain and Mesidor as a duo and in the pass rush and against the run were just elite. He's a great pop. He's a great bull rusher, can run through the midline of a tackle. So yeah, I got him go with Akeem Mesidor at 15. I got him at an 89.5 rating, which I think would be a 92 if he was 22, 23 years old.
With my 15 overall pick, had it not been for this one specific reason, I would have gone defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But offensively, I mean, they got Chris Godwin, they have Emeka Egbuka. What better way to throw in the fastest tight end in NFL history, Kenyon Sadiq? And the only reason for that being is because the Buccaneers just lost Mike Evans to the San Francisco 49ers. So now Baker needs another threat to throw to. What better way to give him Sadiq? He's a versatile tight end. He can break down man coverage on every single level. He's talented after the catch, and he makes things easier for quarterbacks just looking to move the sticks. And he will make things easier for Baker Mayfield. He has the body control and hand strength to win those contested catches, and he's just such an elite. Uh, he's just an elite playmaker. He can break down those cornerbacks with his speed, and not only that, he gives pretty good effort on the line in terms of run blocking and pass blocking as well.
All right, we're about to enter our second half of this mock draft, but before we do so, just want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. We've been trying to push out as many NFL videos as we can. The NFL season, before you know it, is going to be ramping up. And we'll quickly go through these last 16 picks. I'll start with the New York Jets, who are going, in my opinion, shock pick to take Ty Simpson, the QB out of Alabama. Now, a lot of people might say he could go a little bit earlier or a little bit later on in the draft. I think that you, as the Jets, take your shot now. The Jets fans are sick of waiting around. Go get your quarterback. Geno Smith is not the guy. Go get your quarterback. That's who I got the Jets taking.
Yeah, 16. I got him going with Makai Lemon. I think you might be able to be patient and get Ty Simpson with the 33rd pick, first pick in the second round. But go with Makai Lemon, second rated wide receiver for me, 90 overall grade, great hands, plays out of the slot, good route runner, aggressive catch, can catch in traffic. I think he's a stud, and I think he'll do very well in the NFL. And I think there's a reason he won wide receiver of the year over Jeremiah Smith.
With my pick, I'm gonna stick in the secondary. I'm going with Avion Terrell, the corner out of Clemson. Jets need secondary help and long-term cornerback help, especially after trading away Sauce Gardner. You know, Terrell is a guy who's super versatile. He can play outside, he can play the slot. He's super physical and aggressive when it comes to the corner position. Not only that, he just comes from an NFL bloodline, his brother being AJ Terrell, who's a ball hawk. You know, there are some injury issues. You know, he had that hamstring injury a couple days ago, but I don't think that's going to affect his stock too much, but I like that pick for the Jets, sticking in the secondary, upgrading the secondary with Avion Terrell.
Jets could go offense or defense. It really doesn't matter. They got holes on either side of the ball that they need to fill. Moving on to the Detroit Lions at pick number 17. I have them taking Georgia offensive tackle Monroe Freeling. This guy is an absolute beast. His athletic ability is crazy. He ran the fastest 40-yard dash at 4.93 from an offensive tackle since the merger. Absolutely insane. He's got a huge build, 6'7", 315, big arms, a big arm span, and I think that he is a good fit for the Lions because with Taylor Decker announcing his retirement, you need to fill that tackle position. Penei Sewell, he could either stick at the right tackle or go to left tackle, or you could fill that left tackle position immediately with him. I think that the offensive line for the Detroit Lions is their biggest issue, their biggest glaring hole, given the age of Jared Goff and how we saw him get a little bit uncomfortable under pressure last year. So I have them taking Freeling at number 17.
Yeah, 17, I got him going with the left tackle as well. Caden Proctor out of Alabama, 6'7", 350 pounds. He's probably going to have to slim down and play in the NFL. Also needs to improve his lateral quickness, but he latches on when he wins in pass reps. Good pass blocker, good in the run game. I think he's quicker than what you'd think he'd be at for size. I just think he's a good pick. You got Penei Sewell, Caden Proctor, two large mammals protecting the edge for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, with my pick for the Detroit Lions, I'm also sticking with offensive line. I'm going Spencer Fano. He's an elite athlete. He ran a pretty good 40 time. He was ranked number one in the NFL Combine in terms of athleticism score. He fits Detroit's physical, athletic offensive line identity. He can play right tackle early, and then he can switch over to left tackle long term. He protects the offense, and he just keeps the run game flowing. Especially, and that's super critical for Detroit when you have Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. You know, you want Jahmyr Gibbs to run behind that elite offensive line. There are some concerns. He does have slightly shorter arms, and we saw it with Will Campbell getting torched in the playoffs. But I like this pick. You know, if Detroit passes on guys like Proctor or Maugoa and they take Fano, it means that they want athletic upside over raw power.
Moving on to the number 18 overall pick held by the Minnesota Vikings. I have them taking a guy out of Toledo, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think that this guy's a turnover machine. 9 career forced fumbles, 5 interceptions. He's mastered the art of the peanut punch by Charles Tillman. I think that this is a guy that's going to provide a lot of security for the Minnesota Vikings, who might see the departure of Harrison Smith here in just a couple of years, maybe even just 1 year. Brian Flores likes to run a three safety look, and so bringing him in and working with Harrison Smith in that year before he retires could be huge for him. I know you guys have them taking another safety going the same position, just different guy. So I want to hear what you guys think. Even though we all agree that it's a safety, you guys have a different opinion on who they should take.
Yeah, I got Dylan Thieneman, but I also like them going with Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I got McNeil Warren graded higher than Thieneman, but I just think the free safety spot's a position of need. He can track the football, create turnovers, great range on the field as a true free safety. He won't line up in the box and affect the run game much, but he had a ton of production in college. Freshman at Purdue, 106 tackles, 2 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and 6 interceptions. Those are jaw-dropping stats as a freshman, and then as a sophomore, pretty much backed it up. And then transferred to Oregon, had a little dip in production in terms of stats, but he's still an elite defender on the field. So I like them going with a safety here with the 18th pick.
Same reasoning, same guy.
Simple as that. Moving
Same
on.
reason.
Moving on to the number 19 pick in the Carolina Panthers. To me, they got to go out and get a guy who can help Bryce Young especially in terms of scoring and pass catching. And I have them taking Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. And this guy, again, is an athletic freak. He's run a 4.39-second 40-yard dash, which shattered the record for tight ends. And it's kind of speed is typical of those high-end first-round wide receivers that we see. He's got a great vertical jump at 43 and a half inches, an 11 and a half foot broad jump, which puts him in the 99th percentile. He's very versatile. He's got great hands and can get the yards after the catch. And like I said, I think he's just a good fit for the Panthers because they do have Tommy Tremble and Sanders, but none of them possess Sadiq's ability to move the ball downfield and to get open. So I think bringing in another guy that can help Bryce Young as he continues to try and prove himself in this league, it doesn't hurt. Bring him in.
I got almost going with Sadiq as well. Give Bryce Young another weapon. You don't need to keep drafting these wide receivers and add to the depth. You already got depth. Go out and get a young pass catcher. We need to see him prove himself as a run blocker at the NFL level, but I think as a flex tight end, he is just as good as any receiver in the NFL when it comes to catching the football and running routes. So I like him going with this pick. Gives them the offense another opportunity.
I'm going with Omar Cooper Jr. for the Carolina Panthers. Panthers past couple drafts, they went receiver early, and I got them going receiver early for a third time. They need reliable weapons around Bryce Young. There's no shortcut to it. Yeah, they have a lot of depth regarding that position, but is that depth good enough? I don't think so. That's why I got them going with Omar Cooper Jr. They need size at wide receiver, especially in the red zone where the Panthers have struggled mightily. Omar Cooper Jr., he gives Bryce Young that trust target on third down, and he just helps in the red zone where the Panthers have struggled.
All in agreement that Bryce Young needs more weapons. We saw that and how evident it was in that playoff game versus the Rams, who, even though the Rams didn't necessarily play a fantastic game, you saw Bryce Young struggle at the end of that one because he didn't really have the guys to go out and win that game when it mattered. Moving on to the next pick to the Dallas Cowboys, I have them taking Miami defensive lineman Akeem Mesidor. I think that this guy is another one of those guys that is just going to be able to wreak havoc in the in the backfield and get to the quarterback. He had 12 and a half sacks and 17 and a half tackles for loss in 2025. 21% pass rush win rate. I think that when you're the Cowboys and you have so many holes on the defensive side of the ball after trading away Micah Parsons, you just got to go back and try and recover and get that defense back in good shape because that offense is not the problem, and that was evident last year. So I think that they need to go ahead and get him or another defensive lineman, defensive end, and try to rebuild that defense.
Yeah, Cowboys, they value speed on defense and they need more consistency at the linebacker position. So let's go with a guy out of Georgia. Georgia pumps out a lot of NFL ready linebackers day one. So I'm going with CJ Allen for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have leaned toward athletic coverage capable linebackers in recent drafts over the years, and he fits that identity perfectly. He can play the will linebacker immediately. He can cover the tight ends. He can cover the running backs. He flies around the football field with such aggressiveness. It's beautiful to watch. I think it's a great scheme fit for CJ Allen to the Dallas Cowboys. He's got high football IQ, and he's got that SEC experience with a lot of NFL teams love at that linebacker position, and he's just going to be an immediate contributor day one.
Yeah, I got him going with Cam McDonald, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I think it fits what they want to do schematically as a defense. They need to add to the beef up front. Yeah, they got Kenny Clark. Yeah, they got Rashawn Gary now, a couple other pieces, but you bring in a true nose tackle, 3-4 defense, multiple defense, whatever you want. It could be a 4-3 alignment. I think Cam McDonald's going to come in and be effective. I got him at an 87 overall grade. I think is a safe pick going with anyone from Ohio State on defense.
Jumping forward to the 21st overall pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them drafting Clemson offensive tackle Blake Miller. Let's talk about this. The one thing that really stands out about Blake Miller, and that is just his consistency. Never missed a game in his 4-year collegiate career. 54 starts and played almost 4,000 snaps, not missing a single one of them. And he's also an athletic freak. He ran a 5.04 40-yard dash at 317 pounds. very, very impressive. He also only allowed 2 sacks and 14 total pressures during his senior season. So I think that for the Steelers, this is a great pick because you have Broderick Jones, who is recovering from a neck injury or a neck surgery, and his time in his career is really uncertain. It's his long-term future is not certain because of that injury, and having Miller there would be an immediate plug-and play at right tackle, or left tackle, wherever you decide to put him. But I think that with Aaron Rodgers aging, and we saw how uncomfortable he got when the pressure did come his way, it's important to bolster that offensive line and get him as much time in the pocket as possible. And I think that Blake Miller does that immediately for the Steelers.
Yeah, for the Steelers, I have us selecting Denzel Boston out of Washington. You know, the Steelers, we love physical, tough receivers, guys who can block, guys who can fight for yardage, guys who can win those 50-50 balls. You know, even after the addition of Michael Pittman Jr., I still want a big body guy who's a red zone threat, who's a chain mover, who just has that gritty physical play style that the Pittsburgh Steelers love. I think it matches the Pittsburgh Steelers identity, especially the wide receiver room identity perfectly. You got DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr. Might as well throw in Denzel Boston. He adds size and physicality to that wide receiver room. He can develop into a reliable wide receiver too further down the line. You know, I know there is some concerns that he's not an elite separator and he does need some refinement in some of his route tree. And it all depends on which QB is going to maximize him the most. Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it Will Howard? I don't know. But this is a classic Pittsburgh Steelers development bet, and I like it.
Yeah, I'm going with Casey Conception, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. They need a slot guy, small, speedy, quick route runner, which I think he is. The problem is his drops, what he had at the collegiate level. I don't want to guess the number. I want to say it was like 7 drops or something like that, which is quite a few when you're the guy. But anyway, I think he's going to be very good in special teams, which is another reason why you draft a receiver like that this high, which in my opinion is too high for that guy.
Moving on to the next pick is the 22nd overall pick to the Los Angeles Chargers. That's where I have Dylan Thieneman. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I think that you guys, your points that you brought up for him being drafted to Minnesota, they translate to the Chargers as well, who obviously have Derwin James back there, but I think that they struggled last year in deep coverage, and I think that Thieneman does the job of closing those holes for the Chargers.
I'm going with Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety out Toledo. Max, I know where you already had him going to the Vikings, but this guy's a stud. 88 and a half grade. I have him at, he played not a power five player, but he was a stud on tape, man. This guy, great in pursuit, great tackler, makes plays on the football, um, very good tackler. Peanut Punch you talked about already creates fumbles. It feels like half his tape is him forcing fumbles. So very versatile. I think he's a great pick, and fits their need at strong safety. And we saw what Minter did with the defense in pass coverage last year. I hope someone can pick up where they left off last year and bring him along and develop him. He'll be a great player.
All right, going forward to the Eagles at number 23, I have them taking Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. Now, this is a guy with an elite ability for yards after the catch and creating space, averaging 7.5 yards after the catch, by the way, which is just insanity. He's great at breaking tackles and forced 27 missed tackles in 2025. He's got great hands. He's a versatile blocker. And his testing was great too. 4.42 speed on the 40-yard dash and a 37-inch vertical, so making him a very physical threat in the jump ball and also after the catch as well as I had mentioned. He's a great pick for the Eagles. It's an ideal safety net for AJ Brown if he ends up leading. I mean, there's the rumors have been all over the place that AJ Brown is going to be traded. Whether that happens or not, I think we'll find out after the June 1st kind of league start or whatever. But even if they don't get rid of AJ Brown, bringing him in as another strong wide receiver would be great for them. I do think AJ Brown will be traded though, and that will basically be his cheaper replacement.
With the Eagles, I have them selecting Monroe Freeling as at offensive tackle. When you look at the Eagles with their recent drafts over the years, they've had so many drafts where they drafted a guy that just immediately boomed in the NFL. And I think this is a guy that can immediately boom in the NFL. And it's such a Philadelphia Eagles pick. When they drafted Landon Dickerson a few years ago, and everyone was like, "Fucking A, Howie Roseman did it again." I think this is another Howie Roseman kind of pick. He possesses athletic or plus athletic ability for his position, and his initial quickness to make all the moves or all the move blocks asked of him, top notch. He continues pressing forward and stays connected longer to his blocks. He's just a guy that will excel in the NFL, and it's just such an Eagles pick.
Yeah, I'm going with Spencer Fano out of Utah. The tackle was slipped this far down the draft. Going at number 23, I got him at an 88 overall grade. I think what's keeping him from going top 10 is just his frame. If you want to play the right tackle, left tackle position, you want to have a wide base, wide torso, which he does not have. He's very athletic. He moves like a center inside interior offensive lineman. But, I think it's a steal for the Eagles. I think what we saw out of Utah, he had great production, not the best competition, but the Eagles needed offensive linemen, and it was pretty clear watching them last year.
Moving on to pick number 24, held by the Cleveland Browns. I have them taking Washington wide receiver Denzel Boston, and I think that this is going to be their answer. I had them drafting a tackle earlier on to bolster that offensive line. Now you got to provide either Deshaun Watson or Shador Sanders with a receiving option out there, and I think that Boston is one of the guys who is going to be able to do that. I mean, look at his frame, 6'4", 212. He has that's the frame you want. He's going to dunk and moss on people every step of the way. Even the taller cornerbacks and safeties in this league, he's got an advantage over them. He's a contested catch expert. He had 61% contested catch rate in 2025, which is absolutely insane. And I just think that along with being a great route runner and a good blocker, he fits the Browns well because one, they just need a wide receiver. Anybody going out there, they need to have a pass catcher for one of their quarterbacks. Not only that, I think that having a guy, if you do go with Shador, who's able to catch those contested balls that might be a little over or underthrown, and he's got to get up or be physical and get in front of the ball, that's going to be the guy that's able to do it.
For the Browns, it's funny because Max has them going tackle with their first pick, receiver with their second pick. I had them going Mekhi Lemon, receiver with their first pick. I'm going to go with a tackle for their second pick here at number 24. I'm going Blake Miller for the Cleveland Browns. Offensive line is a key priority, like Max has mentioned earlier on in this episode. You got to protect Deshaun Watson's blind side or Shador Sanders' blind side. You need youth and depth along the edge for both left tackle and right tackle, and I think Miller just fits that perfectly because he can rotate in while developing into a starter. He provides that athleticism and that length against edge rushers. He's going up against potentially T.J. Watt or Alex Highsmith, or he's going to go up against Henderson or not Henderson. Fuck, why am I blanking on the name right now? Yeah, Hendrickson. There we go. Lost it for a second, found it again. So he's going to be going up against Hendrickson twice a year. Not only that, I know Myles Garrett doesn't play edge, but in practices, it'd be good for Blake Miller to go up against Myles Garrett in practice every day. So I think that this clears a team need at tackle. There's high upside. He could develop into a long-term starter, and he's pretty good in pass protection and edge blocking. There is some run blocking technique that does need a little refinement, but I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, since I got that trade going on where I have the Bengals
Oh, that's so
grabbing the Cleveland Browns number 6 24 pick, and I have them going with Peter Woods. I would have had him. Oh, this is a tough one because I think they could easily pick Chase Bisontis from Texas A&M, the offensive guard, who I really like. But I have him just going up, going on the opposite side of the football, and just making sure that defensive line is taken care of. Putting Peter Woods there with David Bailey and Jonathan Allen. He got picked up in free agency. So there you go. You got your defensive line set up in Cincinnati for the first time in a long, long time.
Pick number 25 is held by the Chicago Bears, and I have them taking Tennessee cornerback Jermon McCoy here. I mean, this is a guy who you guys already touched on, just lockdown ball hawking corner, 6 interceptions and 16 passes defended over his two active collegiate seasons. I think that he's a great pick for the Bears because let's be honest, watching the Bears defense seemed like they got a little bit better on the defensive line and had some promise in linebackers, but their secondary was still shot. We saw them get absolutely torched in the later part of that game by the Rams in the playoffs.
Yeah, for the Bears, I'm going with Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle. That Bears front seven, they're still rebuilding, particularly the defensive line depth. They just need a versatile defensive lineman who can rotate and develop into a starter, and that's why I have them picking Caden McDonald. He adds depth and rotation for that young defensive line. He can develop into a starter at D tackle or three technique, and his athletic profile just aligns with that system.
Yeah, I'm going with the defensive tackle as well, but Christian Miller out of Georgia, I got him at an 86 and a half grade. I really like what I saw from tape. Not the most explosive in terms of like he's not gonna win because of his explosiveness or because of his pass rush moves. He is fast, he's quick on his feet, but he just has relentless effort. Plays to the whistle, finds the ball. He's just a good football player and good defensive tackle on a 4-3 front.
Moving on to pick number 26, held by the Buffalo Bills. I have them taking Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion. I think that he is going to be a huge answer for Josh Allen and the Bills, who are desperately in need of a wide receiver. He's got great quickness and separation, which are both things that almost all the wide receivers for the Bills lack right now. Obviously, Khalil Shakir is pretty quick and can get out in space and get the yards after the catch, which is another thing Concepcion is really good at. But he's a slot wide receiver, and so he's always in the slot and running over the middle. They need a guy on the outside that can make some noise, and I think that he's the guy that's going to be able to do that for him. The one knock on him is that he stands at 5'11" and 190 pounds, so a little bit undersized. But the Bills opted for uh, a deep ball, big build guy a few years ago in Keon Coleman, and look how that turned out. Don't know if they really want to take a chance on a contested catcher again, a guy who was really mostly known for his contested catching. They want a guy who can make these big splash plays for Josh Allen, and I think that he's the guy to do it, and they'll draft him at 26.
Yeah, for the Buffalo Bills, I got them going defensively, fixing the run game, the run defense, excuse me, going with Cale Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida, 6'6", 330 pounds, the largest wingspan in NFL history as a defensive tackle in the draft, 7'1", 97th percentile in hand size and height, 94th percentile in weight. Only played 3 games this past year due to a foot injury that required surgery, but when you watch the tape, extremely athletic for his size, tested well at the combine, quick first step. He's a great pass rusher. He can take on double teams, plug the gap. He can play a 3-4, a 4-3. He can line up over the center, over the guard, over the tackle even. This guy can win from anywhere. He's a splash pick and a future Pro Bowler.
For the Buffalo Bills, I have them going with Emmanuel Pregnon, the who's a offensive guard. I think offensive line depth is always a priority, especially with Buffalo's offense. You have to protect Josh Allen. Your run game is elite. Might as well make it more elite, adding a offensive lineman in there. They need physical, versatile guards who can start or rotate immediately, and Pregnon has strong run blocking ability that will help the Buffalo Bills ground game stay dominant.
I don't hate that pick, Xander, especially because they just lost David Edwards, so that's a those are big shoes to fill, and I think that he could come in and make that splash. I personally think that they should take a wide receiver, and that's just me being tired of watching the Keon Coleman show. But we'll move on to the 27th overall pick, which is held by the San Francisco 49ers. And I have them going, it's going to be back-to-back Aggies here. I've got them taking Texas A&M edge rusher Cassius Howell here at this pick. This guy, again, I think he's just a great pass rusher overall. He's able to get in the backfield well. He had a 90.3 grade or higher in 3 consecutive seasons with the Aggies. His coverage ability it's rare for an edge rusher to be that good in coverage, and he's still able. He's dropped. They schemed him up to drop back into pass coverage, and he has 15 career pass breakups at the edge position. that is valuable. And that is something that the 49ers need, especially given all the injuries that they've had over the last few years and the fact that they're going to have to start parting with some pieces, considering the contracts that they have given up or they've signed guys to, such as Brock Purdy over the last couple years. So I think that they'll go defensively and try and bolster that defense.
Yeah, I got him going with Denzel Boston at 27 to the 49ers. I just think when you watch the 49ers, obviously the injury concerns have been there, but when they don't have a reliable target, whether it's McCaffrey or Kittle, like it's like who are we or without Jennings even, it's like who are we throwing to? Like remember when who was it, Demarcus Robinson who had that crazy game on Thursday Night Football when I was in
Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne. There's a perfect example. You got Kendrick Bourne going absolutely ape shit on a Thursday night football game. And that's why you need to go out and get a receiver. Give your quarterback that you're paying so much friggin' money to. Give him some more targets because obviously Kittle, his injury concerns are there. McCaffrey's getting up there in age, and the receiver spot needs to add depth.
Yeah, for the 49ers, I'm going with pass rush depth. I'm going with Akeem Mesidor for the 49ers. They're looking to improve their pass rush and they need to bolster that defensive line rotation, especially with Nick Bosa having injury issues, especially with that defensive front having injury issues. So I think that Mesidor pick will be a good pick. He's going to be 25 years old at the start of the season. He is going to be a late bloomer, but look at his 2025 season. He had such a breakout year. The 6'3", 259 pass rusher, recorded 12 and a half sacks, 17 and a half tackles for a loss, 67 pressures. This guy is a relentless, versatile player who can play inside or out, and I think he's a great fit for the 49ers.
Moving on to pick number 28, held by the Houston Texans. Crazy to think that you'd have to uh, make an address to the defensive line at all, given what they've been able to build and what they had last season. But I have them taking Ohio State defensive tackle Caden McDonald with this pick. Dominant run stopper, 92.0 PFF run defense grade last season, which was first at his position in the entire nation. Um, he's a tree trunk, man. You can't move him. He is the guy who moves you. Uh, Other than that, he's very athletic. He's got a 5.15 second 40-yard dash, which just allows him to penetrate through the hole and stop the run. And why he's a good pick for the Texans is that seemed like that might have been their only weakness last year was the run. And so, what better way to solidify that defense and keep them not only as good but better than last year, which I believe they were the top ranked defense at one point, by getting a dominant defensive tackle who can step in there and stop the run.
Yeah, I got him going with Chase Pizantis, offensive guard from Texas A&M. Really like what he did in pass pro this past year at Texas A&M. Can really good base, great anchor, strong legs, can get underneath the pad level of a defensive lineman. I think he's a splash pick for the Texans. They need to improve the run game. They need to improve their pass protection.
I'm going with Caleb Banks for the Houston Texans. Obviously, there's multiple foot injuries, including one that hindered his 2025 season, and then he re-injured his foot during the NFL Combine. So it is a risky pick for the Houston Texans, but I mean, he's got so much potential upside. He's a guy with 35-inch arms. He's got that powerful bull rush to him, and his hand usage is awesome. He just offers versatility to play one tech, three tech, or even five tech in a 4-3 defense, and that's something that the Texans love to do. And I think if this guy is there, even with his injury concerns, you gotta take him. I think he's gonna be a great NFL player.
Moving on to pick number 29, held by the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them taking cornerback Avion Terrell here. You guys already discussed everything about him earlier and just what he's able to provide, and his bloodline too. And Kansas City, I think, could use some help back there in the secondary given their losses this year, in free agency. So go ahead and lock that in for me at 29, Avion Terrell.
Yeah, I got him going with another corner as well. Colton Hood here out of Tennessee at corner. I got him at an 87 overall grade. Very good in man coverage, very good run tackler, good pursuit, physical, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Solid choice. I really like what I saw from tape out of Colton Hood and the Chiefs. They weren't able to get Mansour Delane at number 9, so here they are at 29, picking a corner to replace McDuffie leaving.
At pick 29, I got the KC Chiefs picking KC Conception with their pick. It's just a Chiefs kind of pick going with this guy at receiver. He's a versatile 5'11", 190 receiver, and he's a strong fit, especially for Andy Reid's offense. He's a quick twitch receiver. He's ideal for the slot or a Z receiver. He's used in motion. He's used it on those quick touches, and his ability for yards after the catch is phenomenal. Yeah, he's had some drop concerns, but he's just too much of a playmaker to pass up on, especially in the return game as well.
Swear to God, if Kansas City ends up with them because Buffalo lets them go, I'm going to be pissed. Moving on to pick number 30, held by the Miami Dolphins. I won't go too much into it, but I have them taking Tennessee cornerback Colton Hood there. I think everything you said is true, and the Dolphins are a team who desperately need secondary help at this point as they enter their rebuild, and I think Colton Hood is a great start to that.
Yeah, I had him going Caleb Downs, excuse me, with their earlier pick in the draft. Here at number 30, I got him going with a wide receiver. Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, 6'4", 210 pounds, fast top end speed, aggressive towards the football, great runner, long arms, strong hands. He positions himself to catch the football from anywhere. Reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald in that way, which is a crazy comparison to make. He shows his hands late, which is a great trait to have as a wide receiver. He goes up and gets the football, catches it over players. If the Bills take him at 26, I think it's a steal. It's a steal. Ted Hurst is going to be a Pro Bowler one day in the NFL. Mark my words. And he ran a 4.42 at the combine at 6'4", 210 pounds. This guy's a stud, and he could line up out wide and in the slot. I think it was like 84% out wide, 16% at the slot. That's a crazy good ratio for a 6'4", 210 receiver.
For the Miami Dolphins at this pick, I'm going with a guy who's got such a freakish build in Keldrick Falk. 6'6". He's between 278 to 285 in that range. 82-inch wingspan. This dude is just such an athletic freak. He had a really good sophomore season in college, 7 sacks, shit ton of pressures. Last season, we saw his sack production dip a little bit, but you still saw those high pressure numbers. He's an elite run defender. He had what, 90 PFF run defensive grade over the last couple seasons. He's just a raw edge rusher, and that's someone that the Dolphins desperately need, especially with the departures of Bradley Chubb and Quentin Bell.
Moving on to pick number 31, held by the New England Patriots. Logan, why don't you go ahead and take this one away considering your team? Who are they gonna pick?
Yeah, this is a top 10 pick if he had a good 2025 season. I got him going with TJ Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson. Dip in production, like I said, in 2025, but in 2024, man, this guy was an animal, forcing fumbles, getting to the quarterback, sacks, hitting them hard, great extension, has a very strong base, tight hand combat. We talked about that last time. Can win through the chest of an offensive tackle, can also dip in great bend. Very quick first step, very explosive. I like the Patriots grabbing him here at 31, ton of value.
All right, and I have them taking Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. Now, I think that a lot of people are going to say, oh, wow, you watched the Super Bowl and Will Campbell and yada yada. You think they're going to replace him already? No, this is just to bolster that offensive line, and you could play him at guard as well. He is plug and play wherever you want to put him. He's a freak athlete, 352 pounds, and the guy is jumping 32 and a half inches on the vertical jump. He's an anchor. You can't really move the guy. He's going to be great for pass protection for Drake May, which was clearly the problem in that playoffs for the New England Patriots, and I think that's why they go out and take him.
Same guy, same reasoning.
All right, hold on one second. Kendrick
Yeah,
Falk.
32, the Seattle Seahawks, man. I got him going with Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn. 83 overall grade on my end. Could have gone earlier in the round, but In my opinion, I think he slipped. I think if you watch the tape, you can understand why. Sometimes his pad level's too high. When he's on the good reps, he looks unstoppable. But for 6'6", 285 pounds, watching how he plays, his play style, even looking at how he's built, it's almost like he's too big to play edge and he's too small to play interior. So it's a kind of weird gray area with Keldrick Falk, but he's got the size. The development needs to happen now.
Same guy, same reason.
I'm going with Cassius Howell for the Seattle Seahawks. This guy is he's got an elite 10-yard split. He has high sack totals, what 25 over 25 over the last 3 seasons in college at Texas A&M. He's got a great bend. He's his strong inside spin counter against the offensive line is phenomenal. He may be undersized and sure, he has that below average arm length, but this dude to just hold his ground and really attack the quarterback, attack the run game. It's phenomenal, and it's perfect for the Mike McDonald schemes. He can simulate pressures, and it's a good fit. I like it.
And with that, the 2026 NFL mock draft comes to a close. We did rush the last 16 picks there just for sake of time, but also we had some technical difficulties. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But let us know what you guys think of our picks. If you have any disagreements, leave them in the comments. So with all that being said, thanks for watching. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.